best defensive core in the league. They're a fast team. They hit like crazy. That it's tough to win in Carolina. I don't know how many home games they lost, but I don't think it was that many last year in the playoffs. It's a tough barn. Those guys, half those fans are already drunk before the game even starts. It's true.
But
No,
also,
that's the only tailgating city I've heard of where they're all drinking outside hours before the game.
Hi, and welcome to the show. This episode, we talk about the NHL playoffs and give our predictions and rationale for both the Eastern and Western conferences as they begin the long battle toward winning the Stanley Cup. Can the Boston Bruins continue this juggernaut of a season and carry the success into the playoffs? Or will they fail like a lot of past President's Trophy winners? Can Connor McDavid continue his torrid scoring pace and will the Oilers to a cup? Or will he walk away disappointed again? Will the Leafs finally win a round and build some much-needed momentum to propel this team into a deep playoff run? Or will they yet again disappoint a lot of passionate Leaf fans? We're back and ready to share our views and opinions for anybody that wants to listen. So please, take a load off, relax, and welcome to Hockey for Fanatics. Okay, boys, so a lot of playoff matchups. Where do you guys want to start? We have the East and the West. All of the matchups on the East are settled, correct? Is that right?
Yep.
Settled.
And
Feels like they were settled months ago, but yeah,
well,
they're settled.
it's weird because there was so much movement, and as we see on the West side, there's only 2 series that are defined there, right? So there's still 2 more to be TBD at the time of recording this, right? Okay, so I guess we'll start with the East, and then we'll leave the teams that are TBD to the end because they're going to be.
Yep. Cool.
Okay, so let's do the East first. What do you guys want to leave the Leafs for the end, or?
Yeah. Let's do Rangers and
all right.
Devils. And
okay, so Rangers and Devils
Carolina.
first. Who wants to go first with the Rangers and Devils? Who's got a strong opinion about these teams?
That's your Metro, man.
I'm starting this.
Go ahead.
Yeah. That's your guys.
We have to push ourselves with discipline though. Like as far as like talking, I'm gonna be the first to say we've talked too long about this, but let's try to get an idea of where we all stand on who's gonna win these series.
Sounds good.
And why?
Jersey. Yeah. Are we starting Jersey Rangers?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a coin toss. Whoever shows up will win the series and then get knocked out in the second round.
Okay.
All right, Dave, why don't you go next?
Well, I mean, I've always stuck with the Rangers as my finals pick, so I'm going to pick the Rangers.
Why, though? What is it going to be a long series, short series? What do you think?
I mean, the Devils they're still a good team. I mean, they're going to have their chances with that offense that they have and speed, so I don't expect it to be a quick series. Do I have to predict the games?
No.
Just, do whatever you want.
Just like it doesn't necessarily have to be number of games, but is it going to be a short and sweet series or?
No, it won't be a short. It'll be like a 6-7 game series.
Okay, all right.
So I've switched now. Like I was all on board with the Rangers. I thought they were going to go deep into the playoffs, but especially the past couple, like I'd say like 15 games or so, I've been watching and paying attention to Jersey and the Rangers more because I've been really focusing on the Islanders. And New Jersey's a very, very good team. Like they're not just, the up and coming team anymore. They have become an elite team. They're a real contending team. Like they got it all. I thought they were still missing a couple pieces, but right now, especially that last, I'd say 10 game stretch, they really showed me a lot. And they like the pace that they can play is incredible. Like they forecheck, they can score. Like the whole physical element, they were a little bit like light on. Like for me personally, because playoffs you're going to see a lot of that, especially with the Rangers.
Yeah.
But I think they'll be okay. Like the Rangers also, I don't know. They kind of went away from their identity. Like last year, they were like this rough and tough, like they're like a like this really tough team to play against, and they still are. But bringing in Kane and
Tarasenko.
I don't know, like maybe that puts them over the top. Maybe it doesn't. Like I don't know. It's just all I don't know. It's going to be a really interesting series. Like Giancarlo was right on the money. This is a complete and total coin flip. This isn't a dominant. Like I thought Rangers were going to win this like 5 games max earlier. Like if you asked me this like 20 games ago, but now like the the Devils look really really good. I think this is going to be a tough matchup, and who knows? This is going 7 games. I
So are
think.
you gonna pick a winner? Did you pick New Jersey or?
I think Rangers will come out, but like I would not be surprised if the Devils win. Like it's that close for me.
Right.
Like you can ask me in 5 minutes and I'll be like, you know what, just go with the Devils. It's just that close. It's 51-49 for me. It's that close. Devils
Nice.
really showed me a lot. They're really really good.
Well,
Really really good
you
team.
almost made me choke on my mini egg when you said they're an elite contending team, and now you're saying that the Rangers are going to beat them. So I mean, I don't know.
Well,
They're
still.
both very
I can
good
feel
teams.
you
They're
on
both
the
elite.
Yeah, but this
They're
is.
both Stanley Cup contending teams, Giancarlo. They
Yeah.
both
second
are.
round.
Like,
Second round.
who's better than them?
I don't.
Who's Carolina Islanders?
Yeah, I don't.
Like,
I
out
agree.
of that side, it's not.
It's gonna
Those
be one
two
of these.
are,
Whoever wins this series is going to the semis. That's
yeah,
what I see.
is going to go.
That's right.
Whoever wins between these two is going to go right to the semifinals,
Yeah.
guaranteed, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like Devils remind me a lot of the Leafs.
Yeah, that's a good
And-
comparison, Tommaso. That's a really good comparison.
But that's the thing. This is the first time they're seeing playoff action, guys.
Yeah.
So
That's
this
probably.
is going to be a real wake up call for them. And do they show up? Like,
Exactly.
do they get intimidated by the Rangers? Do they get pushed around? And like we got to limit expectations a bit, right? It's not do or die for these guys. Rangers are more progressed in
Yeah.
terms of their journey,
That's.
so it means a little bit more for them.
It's
So
well-
I don't know.
it's
It's,
well-
going to be an amazing series.
I couldn't have said it any better, actually. I would agree. If I'm going to give my prediction on the series, I would say the Rangers are going to win. When I was making those playoff matchup slides for Instagram, I try to keep it simple, and I'm looking at how many guys New Jersey has on this roster. They got a lot of firepower, so it's scary when you look at those guys on paper and you're like, holy shit, like even a guy like Palat didn't play much of the year, and now he's back. So they got a lot of guys that can put the puck in the net. I worry about their goaltending a tiny bit because they don't have the one of those rock steady guys back there, but I don't think Vanacek is bad, or even Blackwood. I guess he's the other one. I don't think they're bad goalies, and especially the way the team is built, they're built offensively, so that is who you are. But I think Tommaso hit the nail on the head with what he said with the fact that this is just a young team. I don't think the pressure is on them to win now, and I think that hockey's a weird game though. It can go any way. I am going to pick the Rangers. And I guess just from the sense that the Rangers are going to have that sense of desperation to win, and they're going to want it more, right? It really comes down to that. When you look at the two teams, the firepower, as good as New Jersey is, I think the Rangers added the guys, the depth scoring, like Patrick Kane and Tarasenko. Like you're adding guys that are 80-point men. I know that Kane is not what he once was, but you're talking about a guy who in the playoffs has performed at the highest level. He knows what he needs to do in order to put the puck in the net. So I'm going to trust, and the Rangers have that goaltending with Shesterkin that I know Giancarlo says is overrated, but I'm sorry, I don't see it. I like the blue line that the Rangers have. I like the coach that the Rangers have. He's a nasty coach, Gallant. And I do think the one intangible or the one variable that I would say would concern me if I was a Rangers fan would be the reffing. So it's every year. I know that it's like one of those things that we always say, playoffs are a different game. I started to notice some weird things, like even when the Leafs played Tampa the other night, some of the calls that were being made, I was shaking my head, going, "Man, that's not. I wouldn't even call that in the regular season, and they're making soft calls." So I'm a little worried because I don't want them to call that stuff in the playoffs because I like when the intensity is up and I like when they let the guys play. And there's a little bit of whatever you want to call it, guys are going to cross-check each other. Guys are going to fight for space. You need to have those battles sometimes to create the drama in a series that you want to see. So that's the one thing that would scare me if I'm a Rangers fan, because if they start to call those penalties, I think that the Devils could
Oh,
capitalize on that, right?
yeah, it
So
will definitely favor New Jersey if they start calling everything.
yeah, because the
And
Devil,
they usually
yeah,
do the first round,
yeah,
but then they ease off after a while.
yeah, it's tough to say because they always go in with that mandate, and then by the time, because I think the same pair of refs, do they ref every game, or am I
No,
imagining things?
no, they
They
don't.
change refs, right? And
Yeah.
so that also changes too. Like one ref will be calling it his way, and then the other ref will call it a completely different way, and you're in a series and you're like, that was fine yesterday, it's not okay today. So that's where it gets troublesome. But I still think the Rangers have enough, so I'm not going to go back on my prediction. I still think the Rangers get this done.
I think it might be the best series in the first round. I really
I
do.
agree.
I think there's gonna be
So
a lot of bad blood. I'm interested to see, like I said before, just how many fans take over the arena there, because the Ranger fans flock there. We know that the Devils usually don't sell out like crazy, so
Yeah,
that's
that's
gonna
a
be
good one.
interesting as well.
Yeah, that's a good call because if the Rangers fans are all going to New Jersey and it feels like a home game for them, it could be a short series, I think. And New Jersey has home ice, right?
New
yeah,
Jersey has home
Yep.
ice, yeah.
Technically, they have home ice. Yeah.
It's gonna be a different game for those guys. I think they're a great skill team, and now we're gonna see this new season where it's a totally different game, how they're going to adjust to that hitting style. Because, like you said, a lot of times they let things go in the playoffs. So now we're going to see how New Jersey can handle that pressure, right?
Yeah. Physically, I don't see how they're going to hold up, but hey, it's hockey. It can go any way. I always think that any series, it's there to be won for either team. Things just need to go the way that you need them to go in order for you to win, right? So for New Jersey to win,
Yeah, I think.
yeah,
No, I agree, but I think at the end of the day, it's how bad you want something,
it's
man.
it's
It
true.
shows. I think that's why the playoffs in hockey are different than every other sport. Just there's you just elevate to a certain degree where it's like, I want this game, I want this puck, I want this win. It's a different element that
It's
you
true.
don't get in the regular season. You just don't.
It's true.
And that's why
The
all these skilled
intensity.
guys, yeah, all these skilled guys, like we talk about Zegras and all these guys on Anaheim. There's a reason why they're all. I would love to watch these guys in a playoff round and see how they play, because it's a different game. We've seen it here in Toronto. Like, if you don't elevate to a certain degree, you're not going to win.
Yeah, and
Fuck, we lost to Montreal, a bunch of pluggers. We lost to pluggers, right?
that's true.
Because they wanted it more. That's all it came down to. Montreal wasn't outskilling us. They just wanted it more.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
so you guys all made picks. I didn't actually make a pick. You
Right,
guys are
that's
all
why
taking
Well,
you
you
have to
went
make a pick.
first for Pete's sake. Jesus.
Well, I didn't know we were taking picks. I said it was going to be a coin toss, but if I have to pick somebody, I'll take the Devils.
All right, that's good. That's good.
That's it. He picks the Devils. Like no reasons, no nothing. Okay, I love it.
It's a coin flip.
All right.
It's
Did you
whoever
just
wants to play the
did you
dirtiest.
flip a mini egg to pick it, or
I did, but then it landed in my mouth and I ended up eating it.
yeah, you
So
tried it again? Okay.
and then I started choking when Tommaso said
They were an
they're
elite
both
team.
elite teams,
Yeah.
and then I don't know. I just
Okay.
magically came out with the Devils. I started seeing red, right? So
All right. Sounds good. Good logic. Okay, what's next? What's the next series? Carolina's playing against
Islanders.
the Islanders.
I'll go.
Let's go in reverse. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, you go, Mike. Yeah, I like that. Reverse.
Okay,
Go,
okay,
Mike.
reverse. So Carolina and the Islanders. I think that the Islanders are going to give Carolina all that they can handle, and I think there's a chance that they can win this series. When I again putting together the slides, looking at the teams, I'm like, okay, Carolina lost Svechnikov. That's a huge loss for them. I think they're a well-coached team. Anderson's healthy, right? I believe so. He's going to be starting goalie.
Isn't Ranta the man there?
I couldn't tell you. Anderson played last night. I don't know. I don't
They
know
have
what
three
that means.
goalies.
Because
Yeah,
Ranta's
They
having
use,
a hell of a year.
and they got that
they
other
use
that
three.
Russian
Yeah.
kid, right? Yeah. So I mean, who knows who's going to start in net? But they, Tomaso said it before. They're a well-coached team from top to bottom. Brindamore's going to have them all going. I don't know what it is with this team. There's something missing from them that makes me that convinces me that this is a team that could get it done. I don't know what it is. Call it a bias. I don't know. But I think that the Islanders are a team that was in desperation mode for a long time. Yeah, they lost a couple of games down the stretch that they shouldn't have lost. People were criticizing them for that. But now they're getting Barzal back, I heard. So I really think if I had to pick, if money was on the line and I'm going to take the odds, I'm going to pick the Islanders to win this series against Carolina.
I guess it's me. I'll get right to the point. For me, it's the Islanders, and for some of the reasons you brought up, there's something about Carolina I don't like either. We still don't know who their goalie is.
Yeah.
Mind you, all three can play. They're all decent goalies, and any of them can steal a series. But the point is, I don't like that uncertainty, right? They lost Svechnikov.
Mm-hmm.
I just there's something about the way the Islanders play. I think now they're going to start getting into a role where they're going to gain more confidence with Barzal back, and they're tested, right? They're tested in the playoffs. They play that style, and I'm picking the Islanders. I'm picking a New York second round.
Well, you guys know where I'm standing. Islanders are going to lay a beating on them, especially with Barzal back, and now him and Horvat are going to work really well together. They showed a lot of chemistry before Barzal's injury, and then once he was gone, Horvat was kind of left with like stragglers and with like Holmstrom, which is a rookie and stuff. So getting a real playmaker with Horvat will increase his production, and having that is going to be beautiful because now you have that second line that's basically been their first line and Nelson's line. So now you're going to have two legitimate scoring threats with that shutdown defense that they have, with the best goalie in the NHL, with the physicality. I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. They'll beat Carolina.
There's one thing I'll say though, is that I think we all agree that all three of us have the Isles, but their power play has to start coming through. They have one of the worst power plays in the league, maybe the worst.
Well, once Barzal is back in the mix, I think that changes things.
But even with Barzal, they weren't doing that well. My point is that we know how important special teams are in the playoffs, and they got to produce, man. That's what's true to me.
It's true, but it is different, Dave, because you're playing the same team every game, right? Like you do find that sometimes you'll have a bad power play in air quotes during the regular season, but then come the playoffs, it all comes down to your opponent, right? So it becomes that game where you're like you become familiar with the tendencies of the opponent over a 6 or 7 game series. So, but you're right though, it's a very important factor. A power play for sure.
Well, the only reason I'm saying that is because the only reason I bring that up is because one of their weaknesses is their scoring. They don't score many goals, right? Mm-hmm. So Carolina can score. We know that already. So if you're not going to,
but they lost two huge guys. In Carolina, like their offense took a big hit,
and they still finished first.
Right? Patch? You're thinking of Patch?
Yeah. But see, the thing with the Islanders, their power play doesn't make any sense because, like, if you look at it on paper, like that's all. Again, we go back to the analytics and stuff. Just because it looks good on paper doesn't mean it actually turns into success. Like they have Dobson, who's a fantastic young defenseman. He's a perfect power play quarterback. He's got vision. He's got high IQ. He can shoot the puck. Perfect. No problem. Great power play quarterback. Now they got Lee as your net front presence. Perfect. He screens the goalie, big body, tip, works hard, works like an animal. Exactly what you want. Like here are your factors in a power play. You're already 1-2. Great. Now you got Horvat, who's got your board presence. That he's your sniper. Your play is to him for the one-timer. Again, great. Now, we got some vision, someone who can make some playmaking abilities. Barzal's there. Okay, so what's the problem here? Like, you got all these pieces that should be working, but they haven't, right? So whether they put it together or not, that's going to be on them. That's like there is no excuses. They have the talent. They have the pieces to make a very good power play. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, when they scored that last goal against Montreal, right? Like they were terrible. Their power play was just so ugly. And then they're like, you know what? Let's just keep things down, back to basics. They just took shots from the point, and Anders Lee was in front with the tips, and they scored a goal. Like it's not complicated, guys. You know, it's like that whole thing, like kiss. keep
Keep it simple,
keep it
stupid.
simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what you got to do. Like you get like the Leafs have that power play unit that it does really well in the regular season. In playoffs, they disappear. Why? Because it becomes very predictable. You can't like teams will be able to stop you. And to Mike's point, you're playing the same team
Yeah.
every game. They got coaches literally sitting there
They're analyzing everything.
every
Yeah.
single thing you do
Any
on your
tendency.
power
True,
play
but that,
Yeah.
and
but
how
that
to
works.
counter that.
But that works both
Exactly.
ways.
Yeah, it
You
does.
know how.
Yeah.
So
How their penalty
listen,
killers work and how to counteract them, right?
I,
For sure.
I think Mike's brought this up before, and I agree. It's how you make adjustments in
Adjustments,
game after the first game. Listen, to me, I think the Islanders they're a playoff team, but it's not going to be an easy series because Carolina,
No,
they have the best defensive core in the league. They're a
for sure.
fast team. They hit like crazy. That it's tough to win in Carolina. I don't know how many home games they lost, but I don't think it was that many last year in the playoffs. It's a tough barn. Those guys, half those fans are already drunk before the game even starts. It's true.
But
No, I'm being
also,
honest. That's the only tailgating city I've heard of where they're all drinking outside hours before the game. So it's going to be
but
tough for the
also
Islanders.
to your point about the coaching and adapting and stuff, you give the nod to Brendan Moore by far, right? Like
Yeah,
the
for
Islanders
sure.
just have a rookie coach. Brendan
Yeah.
Moore is one of the best coaches in the league. So if he's going to make adjustments, like he's usually going to make the right one, right?
Good point, but we know the better goalies on the Islanders side, right? They can win a series on their own.
Yeah.
My money is on their goalie over whoever goes in net and that triple monster there on the other side.
Freddie's good for one bad goal a game, okay? And that's all the Islanders
know.
need.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And that's all Islanders need, man. They're going to
But
beat you
he may
1-0,
not even
2-1.
play, but he may not see much. Who knows, right? I don't know who's going to start.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet you might see all three of them.
It's
Yep.
possible. We did last year. Well, actually, no. Anderson
sure.
didn't play. I don't
'Cause he
recall
was hurt.
Anderson playing.
Yeah,
but
no, he was hurt the whole time.
He was hurt, but he could have played. How's that? It's true. He could have played.
Brendan Moore was pissed off at that. I remember he was
Yeah,
like,
the Brendan
"Doctor
Moore
say
was
he's
upset,
okay,
yeah.
but I don't know what to tell you. He's not here."
You know when the coach says that, that's not a good look, right?
Yeah.
That's so bad.
So,
Did we get
one more to
Giancarlo?
go.
I think we missed
No,
Giancarlo. Yeah,
Yeah,
Giancarlo.
he's lost.
He's eating.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much going on with what you guys are saying. I can't wait to get to the West. I agree with everything you guys kind of said, but I'm gonna take the Canes. I think.
You agree with everything we said if you're gonna take the Canes. It makes no
because
sense.
I agree with you, like how you broke it down in the sense that Carolina is missing that piece. They're a little bit banged up, and the Islanders are more built as a playoff team. And they do. Sorokin's going to be the game changer. If Sorokin plays lights out, then it's going to be very hard to even score on the guy. I've experienced it firsthand. That's how this team plays.
But you're
the
saying
thing
that
is,
Carolina's going
I
to
think
find a way.
it's going to be a very boring series. I think this might be the worst series because I think that both teams are going to be playing defensive and it's probably going to be low scoring, a lot of overtimes. Like I can see this going to overtime a few times for sure. So, but I think that the Canes are just going to be a little bit too much for the Islanders offensively because even with the injuries, like they got Burns in the back there and I think that gets forgotten about a lot. Brent Burns is no pushover. They went and got Fair. I can never say that guy's name.
Close enough.
He's a good little offensive guy to kick into, and they got a lot of veterans there with Jordan Staal and Paul Stansky. So I don't know. I give Carolina the slight edge over the Islanders, but I won't be surprised to see them lose either.
I'm surprised three of us took the Islanders because I'm going to bet the majority are taking Carolina.
Well,
but
it is tough. Like it's it could go either way. It's just I'm trying to look at it in a way that there is always going to be an upset. I think not that I just think that it's a lot closer considering the circumstances, right? That's all.
Carolina's going to try and overwhelm them, I think, and it'll come down to Sorokin. If
Yeah,
Sorokin
that goalie's
can
got to stand
handle
strong.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all points to him being able to do it because he's an animal.
And that
He's
team
a
is
monster.
structured that way, so
are,
that's their
so.
style. It's like if you're gonna say in boxing, right? Styles make fights. you would say that Carolina would be the puncher and the Islanders would be sort of the boxer in this case. So they're going to wait for
Yep.
their opening and they're going to punish you, right?
Yeah.
So I mean that is likely what we're going to see. We'll see.
Carolina
who's right.
should win the series, but the Islanders are not out. They can very
No,
well
no,
win
of
it as
course
well.
not. Yeah, and we get to see Engvall now in a playoff game on another team. See what I want to see how he plays. Interesting.
It's gonna be the star.
He'll probably have the most hits on the team.
All right, let's do Boston, Florida next.
I'm a little torn on this one. I think Boston's outperformed their season. I'm waiting for it to slow down. I don't think that they're as good as they have been. I really don't. I'm expecting a bit of a crash and burn. The only thing is goaltending in Florida is a huge question mark, and the way Boston is confidently scoring goals, if Alex Lyon is the goalie that they're going to go with, he's going to get overwhelmed really quickly, and that series could end in 4 games. So just because of the uncertainty in net, and I think that's the biggest question mark here. I got to give the edge to the Bruins as much as I don't want to. I think the Bruins win this one cleanly.
I think this is a really dangerous series for the Boston Bruins. I think that full credit to them. They had an amazing regular season, set an NHL record for whatever wins, points. Yeah, sure. Whatever. I don't really care about that stuff. Before the season, I remember not picking them to make the playoffs. And my reasoning behind it is that they were an older team and Marchand was hurt at the beginning of the year. It was going to take him a while. And I kind of factored that into a competitive Atlantic, expecting Florida to be on top of their game. So I thought it was going to be a struggle for them. I was wrong. I'm going to admit that, obviously. But I don't think that Boston is that team that is just the juggernaut. At this point, you throw out the regular season. If I'm the Florida coach, that is what I'm saying. It doesn't mean shit, honestly. All those wins don't mean shit. And Florida's been playing for their lives, playing desperate hockey. Like Tommaso said, they were dead in the water against the Leafs, and then Maurice woke them up. I still think they have the firepower to win this series. They got a guy like Kachuk that's a playoff warrior. I know that he was a little quiet last year versus Edmonton. I don't expect that to happen now. He's a Boston native too. He's going to do something. They have a healthy Barkov from what I'm seeing. Ekblad's there. It's going to depend on their goaltending. I don't know if Bobrovsky's going to play or Lyon's going to play. Either way, Lyon's been holding the fort. All I'm going to say is that I think you can rough up this Bruins team looking at them on paper. They have some guys like Hathaway, and it was definitely something that they focused on. Boston was not a team that they filled those holes with Hathaway and Bertuzzi, and they have that other guy, AJ Greer, that are they're I'm not saying they're soft. Trent Frederick. It's just those are the guys that they don't scare me physically. It's just I think you can go after their big guys, and those other guys aren't going to do anything, right? They're not.
I
There's
think
no Chara and
Frederick
Lucic.
will. Frederick will, but the other guys maybe not.
I don't. They don't. Maybe it's because I grew up in an era where Boston was going to kill you. They had guys like Sean Thornton and Chara and Lucic, and every
Yeah.
single time you couldn't do anything, they would kill you, right? Like there was retribution for if you looked at a guy wrong, they would come after you. And even a Marchand
Yeah.
would be a dirtbag when he would back body drop people or spear you in the nuts or whatever, right? Like Boston had that mentality. I don't see it with this team now. I think they're vulnerable, and I think that Florida's got some nasty guys that can make it really troublesome for Boston. I really do. It's hard to pick Florida to win. I still think Boston will win the series, but I think that this series is going to go 6 or 7. I would be surprised if it's a sweep or 5 games for Boston. I still say Boston wins in 7 though.
Yeah, 7, eh? 7?
6 or 7. I mean, it's gonna go. It's
Okay,
gonna go that far. It's gonna be
Okay.
a longer series than people think.
Yeah. I mean, you had me. I mean, if you were a salesman, I was buying everything. Everything you were saying was great until you said the coaching for Florida. Then it just hit me again. It's true.
I
Then
knew it.
it's like,
I
wait
knew
a minute.
I'm just waiting for it.
I had to close the door on Mike. I go, I'm not interested. Like seriously, you
Oh, it's
had me
so
going
funny.
until then. But it's true. You had me going until. Wait a minute. If Maurice, no. You know what? When you look at a lot of teams that have won a cup, a lot of them will say the first series is the hardest one, and I think if they have an easy time with Florida, I don't know, man. I don't know who's going to stop these guys.
Yeah.
But I mean, Florida's got nothing to lose either, right? I mean,
Right,
think
right.
about it. They squeaked in. They're not even supposed to be there. And now you're going to go in there with no pressure on you at all, while Boston has all the pressure. So if Florida can somehow get a split in those first two games, we got a series. But if they win the first two, I don't see Florida having any chance in this. I mean, if I had to pick in games, I'm going to pick Boston in 5, only because no one's been able to slow them down. I'm hoping, my heart says Florida, at least to take them 6-7 to, bruise them up a bit, tenderize them maybe is another word, but
Yeah.
I just can't see Boston losing this series. I just can't. I'm trying to think of a way that Florida can win, and barring one of their goalies going nuts, whether it's Bobrovsky or Lyon, I don't see it. I just don't. Someone convinced me. Mike had me, and I
He
just,
blew it.
yeah, I can't, man. I can't pick Florida at all.
Boston 5. And
Yeah.
if Florida wins one game, they'll be fortunate. Like maybe
Wow.
game 3, I think they might be able to pull one off. But Boston's just too good, too strong. Florida didn't show me anything. I'll be honest with you, like nothing. They don't got much. Like I don't know how they even made the playoffs. Like that team I saw face the Leafs, they're horrible. They had nothing. They just did nothing. You know how Mike always says, "Does this team scare you?" Does that like nothing? None of those guys scare you. Okay, like I understand they got some guys coming back. That
Bennett
might
coming back?
affect.
Yeah.
Is Bennett? Is he?
It
Yeah,
says,
Bennett is possibly coming back because remember, this is a guy that almost came back, but then he had a setback. So he's not going to be coming back 100%. So that will take into like that is important, right? When you get guys coming back and they're not 100%, you're going to see a very different type of players. Like similar to when Ekblad came back last year, he wasn't 100%. Like that's huge when someone's playing a vital role and he's not healthy, right?
Yep.
So I just don't think they have enough. I think Boston's just way too strong. They're on a mission. Where Boston's going to run into a problem is the second series. That's when I think is where they're going to be. There's room for an upset.
They're going to be tested. Yeah, I got you.
Against Tampa or Toronto, that's when there's going to be the real test for them. And we'll see if they're for real or not. But right now, Florida, there's no chance.
I agree with you. I mean, there hasn't been much adversity for Boston all year. It's been start to finish. They've led, right?
But what
It's
about
like one of those
what about if Florida had a shit year? The coach is not great. I understand that. It's not like it's Coach Quenneville or even who's the other dude that took over? Brunette, right? After Quenneville left. They're not the same team. But I remember seeing Florida in that series against Tampa, and they gave them all that they could handle, guys. That's all.
They did.
Like if that team shows up,
it's a different team.
No, it's not.
It is a different.
How is it a different team?
It's a different team.
How? There's no one missing. You got Kachuk. You got rid of Huberdeau for Kachuk. And
I know,
Weegar,
but they just
come on, man.
they
I'm just
look
saying.
different.
Personnel-wise,
That team that last year they were like they were every game they would punish you. They played like I don't know. They were just a team, a real formidable team. Like this team that I see now, they're nothing. They're soft. I don't see anything. I don't see
well,
no.
you sound like Keith Kachuk. Didn't Keith
like
Kachuk say that?
Walt
Yeah,
there, yeah.
Big Walt. Yeah.
Yeah, but Keith Kachuk, sure, like he's a factor.
No, I'm
But
saying
just the rest of the team.
I'm saying you sound like the dad, Keith Kachuk, because that's what he
No,
said.
but I'm being serious.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't see that. Like, I don't know. Maybe in the playoffs they can drive up this animosity and start playing like how they're supposed to. But it's kind of a tough switch to flip. Like you haven't shown any of it, like this whole time. And now all of a sudden, come playoffs against the Boston Bruins, you're going to be like, yeah, you know what?
We're gonna
Let's
find
start
out.
playing like how we're supposed to.
We're gonna find out.
I don't know. Good luck with that.
We're gonna find out. Now
I hope so. I hope they take them to 7 and beat the crap out of Boston.
That'd
But
be nice.
realistically, no.
Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised.
Anything can happen for sure. But I think I said to you guys, this is the first time back to back that the President's Choice last two winners
Pre-
are playing each other in the first
President's
round. That's
President's
great.
the President's President's
We
Trophy.
gotta edit that out. They're not a sponsor. You gotta edit them out.
He's doing some online
They gotta
shopping while
they
he's
gotta
talking.
pay, man. They gotta pay. Screw that. I'm not giving them any plugs.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Tommaso said. I wish they took him to 7 at least, but I just don't see it
Yeah.
unless the check goes off and it just goes off and gets the team on his back. But how can one guy?
It's gonna be a dirty
go against-
play. It's gonna be a dirty play that changes like something. I don't know. Maybe I'm it's wishful thinking where I just don't think Kachuk is gonna go into Boston and do nothing. He's not gonna be quiet. He's not like that. Something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen. I feel it. I don't know what it is. It's just maybe it's
might
I
be
wishful.
hope
over by
so.
then.
I hope so. I hope he runs the goalie or does something dumb. I really do.
It's
I
possible.
think we're all rooting for that for sure.
So let's go to the West then, and then talk about the matchups that we know of, and then I want to do the Leafs last because I think that's probably going to be the one that we spend the most time on, and I don't want to lose that energy. I want to kind of use it at the end. Okay, so what do we know in the West? We know Vegas against Winnipeg, right?
Yeah.
Yep, that's official.
I'm gonna surprise some of you maybe, but I'm gonna pick Winnipeg to win this
Oh
series.
my God, you knew you were going to say that. Why?
Connor Hellebuck.
Why? I mean, to me, they have the better goalie.
Yeah.
They have no pressure on them. I mean, you think about during the spurts this year, they were one of the better teams in that division
Yeah.
before they landed in the wild card spot, and then they got off their game, and we know Bonus called them out and everything. So if they can get that ship straight and play that defensive style, why can't they hang around with Vegas? I mean, to me, Vegas, aside from Stone and Eichel, I don't know what's so dangerous about that team. I just don't. I mean, I know they're a big team. They're
Yeah,
fast.
yeah.
They got decent goaltending, but they're not as scary as some people think they are. And I think if Winnipeg gets their offense going and play that structured style, they can hang with them. I'm going to pick Winnipeg in 7 games.
I like it. It's when I was looking at these rosters, it really surprised me that Winnipeg was this bad because they have a lot of firepower up front when it comes to
Yeah.
guys like Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele and Dubois and Wheeler and Ehlers, even a guy like Niederreiter. Not that he's an amazing scorer, but you push that guy down in the lineup, he's gonna score his goals, right? And
Yeah.
then they had a guy like Morrissey on the blue line that really blossomed as a leader on the team, and even offensively.
Career year.
I didn't think he had the offense in him like this. I knew he was sort of a tough as nails defenseman,
Yeah.
but he really showed something offensively this year too. And then you throw in Hellebuck. It's hard to argue with you, Dave. Like I would have said going into this, it would have been Vegas. I'm, I, I haven't really landed on an answer yet, but I'm going to talk about it until I come to one. I would have said Vegas off the hop just because this is what they've been building for. There's no doubt. Like Stone, left earlier in the year in order to come back. At this point in time, is he going to be okay to skate at full tilt in the playoffs? I think Winnipeg's going to push that issue, man. They're going to Vegas is going to have to play a really tough series to win. Like it's not going to be a walkover. It's not something that you can just walk past Winnipeg. The Vegas Knights have to win this series. Otherwise, the Jets are not good. That sounds like such a stupid statement. You know what I mean? It's like it's not gonna be a gimme series, right? It's gonna be something that the Knights have to go and take it. It's not gonna be a gimme.
Yep.
So
No, it's a good point. It's a good point.
I just don't know. Looking at it now, like in net, is Thompson playing for the Knights or is it Quick?
I honestly, I don't know.
It's
I
probably
think it's
Thompson.
Thompson.
Yeah,
I
probably.
think it is. But I don't think he's 100% either.
It's tough to say. I'm gonna stick with Vegas only because of the experience and because I think that Winnipeg has some issues with whether the team is united, and I think that you need all of that. I know we've talked about Dubois. Is Dubois really going to be there 100% if he's already got his mind on his contract and where he wants to be
Oh,
next year?
Mike.
Those are the types of things that I think that if it seeps into a dressing room when you see that one guy is not in it, and is Ehlers going to be okay? I know he took a big hit the other day. I don't know if it looked like he got his head like rocked, like he was holding his head on the bench. I don't know if that was just precautionary or whatever. So I'm gonna I'll stick with Vegas only because they have that experience, and this is what I think they were aiming for when they built or they put the team together. So I'll say Vegas in a long series. That's what I'll say.
I'll jump in
Cool.
quick because I don't have too much to add here because I think you guys have kind of put the nail in the coffin. I'm gonna go with the Jets as well. I think that Vegas is pretty overrated. I don't see it in them this year. And like Dave said, at one point the Jets were literally in first place in the West, like, and then they had a huge collapse. And I just think that they're gonna bounce back. And I'm gonna counter what you said about Dubois. I think that Dubois is gonna be all in here because
I'm with you. I'm with you.
he's on a contract season. You think he wants to look like garbage? He wants to look like a number one center. So he's gonna be dynamite this series. So I take Jets, and it probably will be a long series. I can see it going to 6 or 7, but I got the Jets in this one.
Not even close. Vegas in 4 or 5. Winnipeg are frauds. They're a joke. They're not good. Like they're only good because they got a goalie standing on his head, and without him, they're not even their bottom 5 team. Those forwards, like Kyle Connor, I like,
Yeah.
but those other guys are frauds. They honestly, they're the complete opposite of clutch, and they will get run out of the building. Vegas plays a tough, hard game, which counters Winnipeg's game because Winnipeg is like a run and gun type of game.
Yeah.
And they will run them out of the building. It's good. Like if it goes to 5, that would be like a win for Winnipeg.
Jeez.
Like this would be a very short series.
Wow.
This would be a short series.
Hey, he's not completely wrong. I mean, a lot of what he said is true, right? So it'll
listen.
be interesting.
Vegas could easily sweep them for sure. But
Oh yeah,
we know how the playoffs go. It's a
different beast.
anything can happen, man.
Yeah.
Mike almost sold me on Florida.
Till he said Maurice.
he didn't have to say his name. He just mentioned coach.
I just said the
Their
coach. I tried to sneak it in there. Dave tried to slide it in. Okay, LA against Edmonton.
Go ahead.
This is a series that I'm dying to see because they played a game near the end of the regular season that was tooth and nail fighting, battling for position, and those are just the prototypical playoff hockey games that you want to see. And we don't see these teams often, so I'm going to stay up to watch these games, which makes me really happy. Because sometimes you get the West Coast, it's like, okay, if it's Edmonton, Calgary, yeah, I'll stay up. But some of them, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to really watch Colorado, Minnesota, or whatever, right? Like those are things that don't appeal to me. But I'm going to stay up for Edmonton, LA, that's for sure. Because these guys are, it's a rematch of last year. Now Doughty's back for LA. I think that it's really hard to pick a winner, but I think Edmonton's just so poised to go on a run this year. They've added the right pieces. Evander Kane, he was there last year, right? But he's back again. They got Ekholm on D. They're just firing on all cylinders at this point. And I think that because the West feels a little softer with Colorado taking a little bit of a step back, I just see that as an opportunity. Edmonton sees that opportunity. They played so well until they got rocked by Colorado last year. I don't see it changing. McDavid's going to get his points. Draisaitl's going to get his points. You can't stop these guys. So I don't see how LA is going to be able to contain them. I just really don't. I try to think of a way. Like it's probably going to be a longer series. I think maybe, but honestly, it would not surprise me if Edmonton rolls these guys, just because I think McDavid wants it so badly, and barring injury, I don't see how LA can stop him. Even with a Danault, everyone says Danault is Danault this, Danault that. If you look at it last year, I think McDavid ended up with like 2 points a game at the end of the series. Like that's not containing anybody. So this is where I say I think Edmonton's going to win this series just because they have the offensive firepower that LA can't stop. And their goaltending
Cool.
is better than last year. No doubt about that. So I'll say Oilers just to pick games. I think it's going to be a shorter series than people think. I think it's going to be Oilers in 5.
Yeah, I'll straight up say I'm gonna take the Oilers. I could see it ending in 5 as well. I think the Kings are a little bit phony. I know they play that tough nail type of game, and Doughty. It's hard to count Doughty and Kopitar out because I think they know what it takes to win, and they've won. So I don't know. I'm not as sold on Korpisalo as some might be. I don't think that goaltending is going to be great for the Kings. I think McDavid's going to have a field day with that, and I'm not counting McDavid out. He's not losing in the first round. If this Edmonton team's going down, it's going to be later on because he's starting to run out of gas. So I kind of agree with Mike. I could see this ending in 5. Should be a quick series for the Oilers.
I think we're all on the same vote right here. I had LA to win this series, like before the Ekholm trade. Like the Ekholm trade, they're a different team. They look very stable now. They look structured. It almost like that one piece was all they needed to get people in the position that they should be in.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, Nurse is not playing the amount of minutes that he was. Like it seemed like everything fell into place with that trade. And now Draisaitl is actually healthy. Like remember last year, Draisaitl wasn't even healthy. So
Right.
I don't know. I think LA is like a good counter to Edmonton, but what Mikey was saying, like I think this is different people we're talking about. McDavid is almost impossible to shut down anymore, and I don't know. I thought this was going to be a long series, but just listening to Mike, I agree with everything he's saying. I could see this being a very, very quick series, but I don't want it to be. I want LA to push them. I want LA to like push them to the brink, like Edmonton in 7. That's what I want, but like my brain is saying 5, my heart is saying Edmonton in 7.
What's your wallet saying?
My wallet is saying Edmonton in 5.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're all picking Edmonton. McDavid's gone into another level that we haven't seen in a long time. We just haven't. He's unstoppable. It's almost like he's got to stop himself. He has to have a bad night or two for you to win a game because he's gonna
Or
get his
get
2 or
hurt.
3
Yeah.
or get hurt. Not that. But I mean, I know. Listen, this year LA's added. They have a better goalie. They got Doughty back. They have Fiala that they've added. So
That's right.
they have more depth. Yeah, they have more depth. These guys have gone to a different level. There's that determination with them, and he's going to put them on his back. And whether it's 5, 6, I don't think it really matters. They're good. Just don't see LA being able to compete with them this year. But like Tommaso said, I hope they can take him to 7 because it's going to be a tough train to stop once McDavid and the Oilers get going. I think they've been the hottest team in the league. I think since they got Ekholm, now they're
January, yeah.
17, 2-1 or something like that. So I don't know. It's going to take a lot to stop him. Whether it's a hot goalie, I don't know if Danault and Kopitar can handle him, but I'm sure they're going to do their best. I mean, McClellan there, he's still the coach in LA, right? So he knows the team. But how do you stop McDavid? Like, what's your game plan?
Can't. The only
Does
way to
anyone
stop
know?
him, you either one hurt him.
No.
You have to hurt him.
Yeah.
Or
Well, I mean, besides hurting, but listen,
they're gonna slash his fingers. Like it's gonna be nasty out there. Like Danault is not a gentlemanly player. He's gonna get in your face. He's gonna do whatever it takes to stop you. I'm not saying they're gonna go break his legs or anything, but it is not gonna be fun. They're gonna try to limit his space. They're gonna try to take away his lanes. They're gonna try to get on him quickly because they know that McDavid likes to carry the puck. So
Yeah.
if you were devising a game plan to stop McDavid, what do? Right? Like it's not easy.
That's exactly it. You can't let him get any speed in the neutral zone.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Once
It
he
takes
gets
a
his
team.
speed in the neutral zone
You gotta hit
and
him.
Yeah.
he's in, no defenseman can keep up with him. So, but it's easier said than done. That's the
Yeah,
problem,
he's
right?
just so fast.
Like
He's so fast.
he's just adapted so well. He's added so many more things to his game. Like before, you could actually keep him on the perimeter, and that would be the end of it. But now the way he drives to the net, it just, and plus again the tools he has with him. Like you got Hyman and Draisaitl and Kane. Like he's got so many more weapons. You can't just focus on him because then the other guys will just bury you.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is their best shot. They got a really good team, and especially with Colorado, like they look a step back, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll see.
All right. Well, you mentioned Colorado, so maybe we talk about these next 4 teams without matchups. Let's just talk about them as individual teams because we don't know who they're going to play against. But what do you guys think of Colorado in general? I know you. Why don't you go first, Tomas? Because you were talking about them having taken a step back.
Colorado's going to win their last game, and then they're going to play Seattle.
Yeah.
And Colorado's going to beat Seattle maximum 5 games. Like that's like it's not. I don't know. Seattle.
If we want to go on
they'll
that
be just-
premise, we can go on that premise. But that okay, keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. So like Seattle is just like thankful to be there. Like that's all it is. Like for them, it's just an accomplishment to just make the playoffs. Like they won't. You know, they're not a legitimate team.
They're terrible.
Right?
They're terrible.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
They
I
have
looked
no
at.
business.
Have you
being
guys
there.
seen their scores? I couldn't stop laughing
Yeah.
when I was looking at their scores.
Yeah,
Like
another Pittsburgh Penguin that didn't get protected. because they
McCann
took
is
Jeff
their leading
Carter.
scorer. They got Beniers is good, but he's still a kid, right? They got guys,
Yeah.
and they got guys like
So I don't know.
Eberle, who's fine. He's a good player, but Yanni Gord and Alex Wenberg and Eli Tolvanen came, and I don't know. I'm not. I guess I'm with you, Tomas, in that sense that if Colorado wins that game, they're gonna roll over Seattle just because Seattle is not gonna put up much of a fight, and maybe we
For
talked
sure.
about Colorado being less dominant in round 2 when they line up against.
For
their
me,
next
that's
opponent.
what it is. The next series between
Yeah.
like Dallas is going to play Mini, and that's going
Right.
to be a snooze fest. But
No, it's
both
not.
are
I disagree, man. That's
Okay,
good.
well,
That might be one of the best series.
So
Colorado,
why
though.
don't you guys let's do the Colorado one first. Let Dave and Giancarlo do
Okay.
Colorado, and then we'll go to Dallas Mini. Go ahead, Dave.
okay.
Well,
Unless you
so we're
disagree.
gonna skip. We're gonna assume. So like we
Are
all
you-
assume
are-
Colorado.
Are we going to assume that though? Like I don't want to speak for you guys. Are we going to assume that Colorado is going to roll over Seattle if they play them?
No,
And 3.
Giancarlo
It's-
says
it's
no.
3
Oh
games.
boy.
I don't think so.
Oh
Okay,
my
go
God.
ahead, Giancarlo.
I just think Seattle's they're kind of like Vegas that first year that they came in. They're playing and they're having fun, and their team is a bunch of misfits who are actually pretty good players. Like they can get the job done. And we talk about it being a young man's game, and Matty Beniers is as good as it gets for a young man. He's having a fantastic season for them as first year, and they have guys that like their bottom 6 is actually pretty good. Like they have a nice bottom 6. I think Daniel Sprung hit 20 goals this year playing on the 4th line. Like what else can you possibly want out of your 4th line than having a guy who hits 20 goals? Like it's pretty good. And their defense, they have a hard-nosed guy in Jamie Alexiak, and Adam Larson is, he's a good defender. He's a good shutdown guy. They got Justin Schultz there. Like they have a good defensive core. It's not bad.
I closed the door.
Goaltending, I think, will be the biggest question. I think because I don't even know who's starting there nowadays. Is it Martin Jones or Philip Grubauer?
According to the stats, Jones played more.
Yeah, I know. And Jones started the season hot, and he's another one. He's played a lot of hockey. He's a veteran, and at one point he was a really good goalie, and it fell off, right? But I don't know. I think that Seattle's going to give Colorado a run for their money if that's the series we see.
I don't
If
think.
I gotta take someone out of Colorado, Seattle, I'm going with Colorado. They've been my team to win the cup since the beginning of the year. I don't know. I don't think that they're I don't know if I can go as far as saying they'd be my cup team anymore because of the injuries and all that.
Yeah.
But I think Seattle will give them a bigger run than you guys are giving credit for. I think that they can bring them to 6 games, maybe even 7.
Oh boy. Okay.
Wow.
All right. So why don't we do Minnesota against or Dallas, Minnesota, with Dallas having home ice.
They're both so similar in terms of how they play. They play the defensively structured, no cheating, physical, hard-nosed type of hockey. Dallas, I would give a little bit of advantage because of the just the scoring.
Yeah.
They have that scoring that Minnesota doesn't. Like, yes, because Prisov, I don't know if he's coming back. Is he?
Yeah, yeah.
Does
He's
anyone
playing.
know? Is he back?
He played the other night. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep, they
Okay,
played.
so, but still, I think Dallas has the advantage in terms of scoring. Ottinger, it's tough because Minnesota's goaltending has been as good as it gets the past month. Like, you can't find any better. But come playoffs, who are you going to pick? I don't know. I still think Dallas has the advantage there. Like, even though Gustafson and Fleury's done it many times, but he's also faltered many times. So it's tough to say for Fleury. I think Dallas is going to squeak this one out. Like, it'll be a 7-game series. Like, this is going to be a long, grueling series.
Yeah, I think Tommaso's on the money there. I think that it's very hard to see this one not going to 7 games, 6 games. Like, I don't see this being a sweep either way. I'm gonna take the Wild here because they have the
boy.
most ex-Pittsburgh Penguins, and I already said the theory
All right.
that they're gonna win the Cup this
Nice.
year. So, but
That's
in all
awesome.
honesty, their goaltending is just red hot right now. I don't know. I'm guessing Gustafson's going to get the nod because he's been the guy this year. I know Fleury's had a good run the last couple months, but Gustafson's had a whole season of a good run. So I can't imagine that they don't go with Gustafson. I think Tommaso said it already. It's going to be a bit of a snooze fest because these teams aren't big time scoring teams. They're definitely a little more defensive. I guess Dallas has more offense in
Yeah,
them,
man.
but
These guys have some scorers.
they have some scorers. But I mean, Minnesota is going to be they're a more shutdown team, and they know how to play a defensive structure. And if Gustafson is red hot, I love when a young goaltender is red hot in the playoffs. I'm taking that every single time. Ottinger's obviously, to me, is probably a top 5 goalie in the league, but he hasn't had that spark that he had last year. So I just because of Minnesota being a little bit hotter right now in terms of goaltending, I'm gonna give them the edge, but I won't be surprised to see the Stars win this series either. So
I mean, I agree with some of what you guys said, but I think Dallas is gonna. I just looking at these teams, I don't feel that Minnesota has the capability of beating Dallas. And I'm banking on the fact that Ottinger is going to play the way he played last year. He showed that level. I think Dallas is even better. I think that they're offensively, they have so much more. I think they're just a complete team in that sense. Adding a guy like Domi, they got a guy like Mason Marchman in the offseason. I know they got a Dadonov from Montreal who isn't great, but he's still a capable hockey player. And adding to a team that is got an offensive capability in their top 6, and he doesn't have to be sort of relied upon. That's a good player that you're going to be able to put in a mismatch position to score against. And I'm not saying they would be doing it in the semifinal, but against Minnesota, I think that um, I just don't see how Minnesota is going to be able to stop Dallas when I'm looking at these rosters. I I give credit to them because I know that they played really well defensively and they were limiting teams. Maybe off like from a physicality standpoint, I don't know if Reeves is going to play. That starts to factor in. Um, but I know that Reeves is one of those guys that they kind of leave on the sidelines when the playoffs come. It remains to be seen if he's going to play. So I don't know. I still think Dallas is going to win this series. I think it's going to probably it won't be a quick one. Let's just say Dallas in 6.
I think it might be one of the most entertaining series if you love physicality, just grinding it out. You know what I mean? Like those
Yeah.
close games, whether it's OT or late goals. Like, it's gonna be one of those series that I'm gonna be interested in watching. I'm having a tough time picking Minnesota. I don't know. This is the toughest for me to pick. To be honest with you, I don't know. I can't pick it. Do I have to pick? I'm gonna give Dallas the edge only because I like the Ottinger more. I just do, and they have Roberts in there. They got the better offense, but to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised this goes to Game 7 OT. Honestly, that's how close they are. But at the end of the day, what do I know? I'm picking the Islanders. I'm picking all these other underdogs. So. I don't know. This is a tough. This is the one I want to watch. I really want to watch this series. I mean, these are two teams that, I mean, think about it. They're almost structured the same way, right? They rely on their defense, right? So.
And their goaltending.
I'm going to give the edge to Dallas only because I think they're just more sound. And I mean, you guys, I don't know if it was Giancarlo, but one of you guys had him in the top 3 in the division from the beginning of the year. I didn't.
I did. I had picked them.
Yeah, sure. Even you. I mean, I would think I was the only one that didn't have him near the top. So they've made me a believer.
And Gustav Nyquist is back for Minnesota now too. He's been on. I think he's got like 5 points in 3 games that he's been back. He made it just in time. Might give the team a bit of a spark. That offense that they need. Attention sport card enthusiasts. Looking for a convenient and reliable way to expand your collection? Look no further than Fanatics Collectibles Canada. This online shop is your one-stop destination for all things card sports, from vintage to modern, from football to hockey to basketball and more. They even got some bench warmers. The selection is second to none, featuring rare and exclusive players from top players and teams. Whether you're a serious collector or you're just starting out, they will have something for you. And with their easy-to-use website and secure online checkout, you can browse and purchase cards from the comfort of your own home at any time, any day. So why wait? Visit the online shop today at www.fanaticcollectibles.com and start building the collection of your dreams. With their vast selection, unbeatable prices, and dedicated community, you're sure to have a winning experience every single time.
Last series, boys. I'm going to let you guys fight it out for who goes first. The Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. Rematch of last year's. I got to hear from the Leaf fans. Come on, let's do it.
What's there to say? The Leafs are going to win this series.
Wow.
I don't have much to... This one would shock me more than losing to the Habs, to be honest with you.
Wow.
There's no fucking there's no reason to lose this series. Listen, I'm going by like no injuries and all that. I can't predict that stuff.
Sure.
So I'm going by what I see in front of me. There's no way the Leafs should lose this series.
No way. You're saying
there's no way.
No way they should lose this series.
There's no way. There's no excuse to lose this series.
Okay, give me some reasons why though. Like what's the number one reason why they have no way to lose it? Number one. You don't have to go into too much detail, but number one reason.
I mean, to me, they've been more on a path in terms of just knowing what is ahead of them and what they have to do. I don't know if Tampa's mindset is the same way. You know what I mean? It's tough to turn it on again and again and again for 4 straight seasons. It takes a lot out of you mentally, physically. And I mean, it's the Leafs' time to win the series. I mean, we've seen them all year. They've gotten better. Their defense has gotten better. They've added the right guys. We've been screaming to add depth to the third, fourth line, to add some stay-at-home defensemen. They have. And then, and the X factor is that Sammy's been playing well in net. He has. I mean, I don't think any of us saw him doing what he's doing right now. He's taken over the reins, and he's playing to be the number 1 goalie next year. He's playing for a contract. I mean, can you imagine they didn't get Samsonov, where they'd be?
Yeah, I think we all knew Murray was going to be a significant risk. So when they got Samsonov, it was definitely that insurance, and it turned out to be something that was needed, right? But we knew Murray was. We knew how that story would end. At least I did. Most of us did when we talked about it when the Leafs acquired him. So Yeah, Samsonov's been amazing. I think that I am going to pick the Leafs in this series. I mean, I don't want to jinx the Leafs because I've picked the Leafs in. Crazily enough, I've picked them in every freaking series that they've lost. Okay, so I'm pissed off too because for you guys, because on paper they should win. I thought that they should have won against Boston those times they had better teams. I thought that they should have rolled Montreal, and for the first 4 games of that series, it looked like they were gonna should have beaten Columbus because they were just a better team, and they didn't. I'm going to pick them again this year. At some point, it's got to be right. I think that the way I see it is so. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I think any playoff series is there to be won by any team most of the time. There are some that are like, okay, no chance. You're lucky. You're happy to be there, and you play your 4 games and you go home. We've seen that, and we know when those like Colorado rolled those teams last year. We knew how it was going to happen. Um, and I think that Tampa can win this series. And I think what they're going to do as a veteran team is they're going to come for blood in the first 2 games of this series because they're playing in Toronto and they know that they're going to try to use that self-doubt and the media and the crowd against Toronto. And they did it with Montreal too. And at that point they had already won their first 2 games at home. The game 3 against Montreal, they came blazing, and the game was over in 11 minutes. It was like 3-0 in 11 minutes in game 3 against Montreal. And I was like, that's the series, like you're down 3-0 before you even sit down, right? And that was game 3, and that was pretty much the series. So Tampa's going to look at this
Yeah.
and say, I'm going to go and play Toronto as hard as I can in games 1 and 2, and I'm going to steal any type of thought that they have of winning this series. And that's
Yeah.
and that's where but I still think that even
Uh,
if you split, like you guys get it, you can't get down if Tampa comes and beats you in game 1, okay? Because it is possible that they'll beat you in game 1, and you can't get down that Tampa won and they stole home ice. No, it happens, okay? You can't let them steal 2, okay? You definitely can't. But I think that if Toronto can get a split, obviously you want to win 2 games, but if you split those first 2 games, I think Toronto's going to be fine. If you lose those first 2 games, it's big trouble. That's the
Well,
way
of
I see
course
it.
you're at home, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But Mike, I
But that's
think
what Tampa's
Toronto.
going to come in to do. And I think the
That's
longer
fine.
the series goes, it'll be actually a benefit for Toronto
Y-
because Tampa won't want to play a
Yeah,
7 game series. They won't. They'll fold.
but Mike,
They won't.
but Mike, the last time they played this week, the second last game of the year, Tampa
Oh, they
did
wanted
that.
that. They wanted that game. Yeah,
That's what I mean. And
yeah.
Toronto answered the bell.
It's
So I
true.
mean,
It's true.
I think that they're ready for any of that stuff. I think it's their time to win this round. I can go into 100 reasons why, but to me, it's that gut. After they made these moves at the deadline, it's all moves that we've all said that we wanted to see. Isn't that something that all of a sudden, let's go this route? No, I think this is something that everyone wants to see. They know that this is what it's been lacking on this team.
Yeah.
And I think that Tampa knows it. Deep down, I think Tampa knows they're not going to show it. I think, like you said, they're going to come out like when you corner a raccoon, he's going to come and attack you, right? But they know they're in trouble. They
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. It's, it's definitely something that they when I saw them, they wanted to win the other night and they weren't able to do it. And
They
does that?
trust
But
everybody.
they're
They
a
trust everybody.
yeah, they're a very that coach is gonna play mind games. It's a very veteran team. They've won it all. They know what it takes to win, and that's why I think that they're gonna throw everything at you in the first 2 games. And if you can withstand those first 2 games, I think that they're gonna say, "Oh man, this is gonna be another long series," and they're going to start to not doubt themselves, but they're going to start to say, "What are we doing this? Like we got to go to the Cup final, and we're going to play another 6 or 7 game series against these fast guys." Like they did it last year, but I think that they came into that series asleep, and I don't think they're going to do that this time. If the Leafs, can, like I said, if the Leafs can withstand that barrage for 2 games, then they'll be fine. So I still think the Leafs are going. That's the way I think it's going to go. But I do think that they're going to split the first 2 games, if I had to guess, because I think Tampa's just going to they'll do whatever they can to get out of here with a win. And as long as the fans don't freak out and the media doesn't freak out, Toronto's going to be just fine. That's what I think.
So
So
you're
they'll
taking
win.
Toronto?
I think Toronto's going to win in 6 or 7 games. Yeah. let's say 6 games, only because I would. No, actually, I'm going to say 7 games because it'll be at home. Yep, 7 games.
I'll hijack the third one here because I want Tommaso to have a chance to go last. I'm gonna go Leafs as well. I think it's just a matter of time before this team gets over the hump. I think that there's no bigger challenge than having to do it against Tampa Bay, because I think Tampa Bay is the second best team in the conference. But you're going to have to beat everybody eventually to make it to the finals. So what better time to do it than in the first round? I think that they just got to stay out of their own heads. Let the demons be demons and just move on from it. I mean, outside of the core players, this is like a brand new Leafs team. I mean, you have so many new players on the bottom six. You got Matt Nyes coming up. You got a brand new goaltender who's been red hot. The defense has looked better. I kind of agree with Dave. I don't see how this Leafs team's gonna lose. The only way that the Leafs lose is if they beat themselves. That's the only way I can see them losing. I think they're the better team on paper. They're the better team production-wise. They just need to go and get it done, and they got to start hot. They got to win the first game, and they got to just believe in themselves and keep moving. And they got to get rid of them quickly. They don't want this to go to 6 or 7. They got to get rid of Tampa Bay in 5. They have to. They have to get rid of them as quick as possible, because the more games that go on, the more the demons start to swirl around in their head. Like they've already been in.
Yeah, but you're gonna need to learn how to win a series at one point in 6 or 7, Giancarlo. So
yeah, but you're also gonna need to learn how to win a series in 5. You can't
you're
be
right.
up 3-1 in a series and blow it. You can't.
That's a good point. Very good point.
I've seen the Penguins do it. I've seen the Colorado do it. If you're the better team, you gotta
finish.
Need to go to 7 games.
It's like
it's
like a box. Same thing. I always use boxing as an analogy. It's like when you have that guy hurt, when you put the guy on his back, and he gets up, and the ref gives him a standing 8 count, and there's a minute and a half left in the round. You got to go and put this guy out. Like that's your job. You got to finish this fight because he's hurt, and you got to capitalize on that. It's no different when you got a guy. It's like you smell blood, right? When it's 3-1 in a series, that fifth game, you better come out. And that's the thing. The Leafs they haven't shown that killer instinct.
No, they haven't.
But I still think that the you made a comment about them having to win game 1. That would be because again, it works against you with the media and all the hype and all that bullshit. Like they talk about all the what happened last time, and that's all like I call that psyching you out, right? And the media works against you too, and that's what That's why I said they're gonna try to use that, and they're gonna do anything they can to win those games. Anything. You're gonna see the best Tampa can play in those first 2 games. If you can absorb and come out of those games with 1 win, I think you're fine. I really do. Whether you would lose the first one, you got to throw out those games. You lose a game, it's on to the next one. Forget that shit. Forget what the media says. Forget what everyone says. Yep. It's just in the past. We'll be there again tomorrow. We were close, and we're gonna play, right? Like that's just playoff hockey. You can't let 1 win feel like it's the end of the series. In fact, like that, you can't. It cannot get in your head. You cannot accept it. That's just the way playoffs are. You have to.
As silly as it sounds, this series is literally the conference final. Like they're the 2 best teams I think in the East, and both they're not just good production-wise. Like they got the experience, they got the mind games. Their coach is literally the best at doing it. Yeah. They're gonna give. You nailed it. They're gonna try and hurt them. They're gonna try and get in their heads, and that's why they need to end the series in 4 or 5 games. And I know that sounds crazy to say to sweep them, but no, they need to sweep them or they need to win in 5.
Anything is possible.
If this gets to 6 or 7 games, that's when I'm gonna start sweating and thinking that they're gonna blow it. To be honest.
Like I said, I see the reverse. I think I already picked Toronto, but if I see Tampa winning, I see Tampa winning fast. Because they did,
me too.
Because what they did to Florida is exactly what they would do to Toronto.
This isn't going to be a long series. This one I don't think goes more than 5, and I have I have the Toronto winning it in 5.
In 5, okay.
Yeah, and if things go south really quickly for Toronto, then I think Tampa will win it in 5 or 6.
I think Vasilevsky's always the big thing that people talk about. The Leafs have been scoring at will against
I know
Vasilevsky. At
it's
will.
true.
Like, did you see that game earlier this week? Like, they were like 4 goals on 24 shots or something like that. And I'm looking at those stats going, wow, no one looks at stats now. This is the best goalie in the world that they're scoring at will against.
That's why I said the only thing that can beat Toronto
Yeah.
is Toronto. That's it.
Yeah.
They need to just go into the series and, like you said, take it game at a time. Forget what happened yesterday. If they lose
Throw it
one
out.
game,
That's it.
just throw it out. Whatever, we lost.
You got to be ready to
No
come
big
out
deal.
every round. Every
But
round.
they need that killer instinct.
Yeah.
They need to finish this in 5 games.
Yeah.
They cannot let this drag, because that's when the demons start getting in their head, and the core cannot let the demons overcome it.
I think this is a different team. I think this Leaf
think
team
it
is
is
a
too.
different team. You got
Yep.
Ryan O'Reilly. I see something in this team. I see leadership. I see a togetherness with the
I see Penguins.
with the new with the new guys. I've seen just a camaraderie that you always saw Matthews and Marner, and they would always be buddies and whatever, buddy, and they'd give each other the high fives and whatever and celebrate. I don't know, man. There's something when I looked at these guys and I'm watching the interviews, and I know Dave at the deadline, there was a concern from all of us. You're making these acquisitions. There needs to be time to gel. There needs to be time for guys to
They've gelled quickly.
connect with each other. I have to say,
Yep.
man, these guys, I said it the other night in the chat, these guys look like they've been together for years. They don't.
It's not easy, man. That's very rare.
It's true.
That's very rare,
Yeah,
man.
it's
But
true.
it's working.
I know you see this, you see that, but me and Tommaso see dead people in terms of the old series that they've lost. Right? Those demons are with us.
That's why I said 5 games. 5 games.
If they if they want any shot to beat Boston in the next round, they cannot go to 7 games in this series. They just can't.
Come
Yeah.
on.
Okay.
You can't look at
What?
it that way. I understand what you're
I
saying.
do, because you just said they're going to come after them and bruise them and go after them and hit them and do whatever it takes to win. That takes a lot out of you, man, if you're going to go 7 games.
And then Boston's going to do the exact same thing. So
Yeah, but that's where Toronto's inexperienced there in that sense. They haven't got out of a round. They don't know what it feels like to be in round 3. Their body doesn't know, right? Tampa knows. That's why I say Tampa is going to want to finish this series early because they don't want to go 6 or 7 because they're going to get shit. I've been playing for 3 years already. I've been to 3 Cup finals. I know how long this race is. I know the toll it takes on my body. That's why I think Tampa will be quicker to fold. I really do. When I say fold, I don't like it's tough to say fold because you're a very veteran team, but I just think that it would be a lot easier for them if they don't get their way in the first 2 games. Like I suspect they're going to come for blood. If they don't get that, then I think that there's a chance that the Leafs can win in a later in a series that goes 6 or 7, and Toronto won't feel tired in round 2 because it's like I still think there's going to be a burst of adrenaline. They're going to say, "Holy shit, we actually won!" Like that's going to feel so good. They're going to be like, "Oh my god, we can beat anybody now." I really do. It's going to get an injection of life. They still have a young team in some of the core positions. Honestly, I really think that I wouldn't be worried, Dave, for that. That's just my opinion. I think I'd be worried if I was Tampa. Yes, Tampa going 6 or 7. I think they've already lost personally because they know that they're not going to be able to go to the final again, especially with what's waiting for them in the semis with the Rangers potentially or the Devils, like we said. So
It's a tough one because, like, right now, just unbiased opinion, you're looking at just the facts, just looking at the 2 teams, and you see Toronto has a pretty big advantage. Just the way that both teams have been playing down the stretch. Toronto seems like it's getting things together. Tampa seems like a little like the old cliches, getting slower, getting older, getting less interested. They haven't got their mojo. But we all know that Tampa is basically like, we use that analogy of like heavyweight champion, right?
yeah,
Like to beat the best, you have to knock them out. You can't just like, it's not going to be like a simple little thing for them. They're not going to go down without a fight. And Tampa, once that playoffs start, like I actually think the opposite of what you were saying, Mikey. The longer this series drags out, the more Toronto's in trouble. Toronto needs to beat them quickly and just like put the foot on the throat. Don't even give them a chance to think that they're in this series. Because if they do, Tampa will grind you down and Vasilevsky will be a factor. 100%. So Toronto needs to use everything that they got right now. Like it can't. It's same thing that happened last year. Like Tampa wasn't really going at the beginning of the year, and then Toronto's kind of like let their foot off the gas, and Tampa just knows how to win those tough games, those close games. They just know how to do it. Can Toronto learn? Of course they can. But until they show it, you can't. Like you have to give the edge to the champions. And that's why for me it's not a short series. I wish, I pray to God for everyone's anxiety and heart and just like health that this is a nice quick series and Toronto beats them in 5. But realistically, there's no way it's going to be a quick series. It's going to be a long series, and I don't know. I don't know who's going to win this one. I hope Toronto does, for the sake of all the Leaf fans, but I don't know. I could see Tampa winning in 7.
This Leaf team is different. That's all I'm gonna say. So don't
You know
think
what?
that
They're
they're
different
gonna.
until they show it, my friend.
It's
That's
true.
all it
They
comes
have
down
to
to,
show it. There's no doubt.
right? They
You
have to
can't.
show it.
Winning on paper doesn't exist. If they won
No,
on paper every time before this, and they never did. So that's what Dubas's philosophy has always been, and it's never worked. So now I see the differences, and I know it's just my opinion. It doesn't mean shit. And they may lose again. They may lose in 4 straight, and that's why I said, like, I think a longer series isn't the end of the world. I really don't think it is. I think that, especially the way this team is, I think that they've been through those series. They know, like, how many times do you have to lose in 7 before you bring that game? I just think that I just think I've seen so many good things since the additions, and I don't see them folding the way they did in the previous series. It's as simple as that. I don't see it. Against
I
Montreal,
hope so.
they were
We all do.
rocked. They got rocked, against Montreal. In that game 5, they got rocked. And it was also, they also came back in those games too. Like, Montreal was winning, I think it was 3-0 in one game. The Leafs came back and then lost in overtime. And then Montreal was winning 2-0. The Leafs came back and then Montreal won in overtime again. So those are like demoralizing victories where you come back from a deficit and then you lose and it's all for nothing, right? But that's why I say you got to be mentally tough in these games. So I just think that I'm going to go back to the point with these additions, they can score on Vasilevsky when they need to. They just can't let this fucking Tampa coach get to them. They can't let him get into their heads, and they can't let a loss at home spook them. They can't. They can't let it get in their heads. They have to just throw that shit out and come back stronger the next game. It's as simple as that in hockey. I know it's such a cliche. You can't let one game be the series. You cannot. You have to be strong game to game.
Wait,
Who
so
knows?
just to conclude, are you taking the Leafs, Tommaso?
We didn't
My,
hear that.
I
my
know.
heart says Leafs. My head says Tampa.
So you would bet on
Leafs.
Tampa
My
Leafs
heart
it is.
says Leafs in 5. My head says Tampa in 7.
again.
And your wallet, go back to your wallet.
Tampa
Oh,
in 7.
come on.
Oh,
That's such a
You def-
demoralizing ending to this podcast. I was really hoping that this would be you being all in for this Leaf team, Tommaso. And I really hope that
I
they win.
do. I hope so.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like this is the perfect opportunity for them to do it, because this is the best they've ever been, and this is the worst Tampa's ever been. So logically, it makes sense for them to do it. But I'm old school, and until you do it, you don't get the benefit of doubt.
Yeah.
You have to go out and do it.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, do you not see the positives? Do you not see the
Of
difference?
course,
Dude,
of course.
this team that played Montreal, this is not the same team, man. This is not
No,
the same
it's
team. No way.
they brought physicality, they brought leadership. Like again, they still didn't address the power play, which is to me is just mind-boggling. And that's going to be a difference, because in a series with Tampa, one goal is going to make or break the series. And them being shut out, going over in your power play is going to cost you. You know, like you're going to see the best of this team in terms of Tampa. You know, will we see the best of this team in terms of Leafs? Will we see Mitch Marner at his best? Will we see Matthews at his best? If we do, it should be a short series because those two are incredible. But don't forget that Tampa still has Point. They still have Cicerelli. They still have
Kucherov.
Sergachev. They still have elite players.
Yeah, they do. They do.
I don't know.
It's gonna be. I don't, man. I can't see how it's gonna be a short series. I really don't. I know that we're wishing for that for a Leafs perspective, because for your hearts and your blood pressure, I get it. But
it's one of those things
guys,
that need to happen opposed to anything else. It needs to be a short series for the Leafs.
I don't know. I can't agree with that, because I think that at some point you need to learn how to win a series in 6 or 7. I know that you're saying that they need to learn how to win a series, period, which I get too. To expect them to beat Tampa in 4 or 5. Oof.
No,
if they beat Tampa
I
in 4 or 5, it's like that's
so,
you know.
the right number is 6. You avoid game 7. You win on the road game 6.
Yeah.
There's a lot of learning factors in that. You get a little bit of a rest, not too much of a rest. That's ideal. If I can pick an ideal game, it's to win in game 6 on the road. And I don't know. Like, I try to be more positive because, like Mike said, you see the changes. You see different responses to different situations that we've never seen before, right?
Yeah.
We never seen them push back when someone pushes them. We never
Shen
seen
beat
them.
the hell out of Maroon the other night, guys. When's the last time you've seen that?
Yeah, we don't see them stand up for themselves. So it's a different mindset, different team. I'm picking the Leafs. I think I picked them a few weeks ago, so I'm going to stick with it.
I can't wait to see Boston Toronto second round. That'll be fun.
I'll give you my prediction for that next.
We'll talk
Toronto
about that
will beat
after. Oh,
A
listen to this
lot of
guy.
it's going to depend. A lot of it's going to depend how the first series go, right? Injuries, length of series. There's always a lot of factors, right?
If Toronto beats Tampa, nothing will stop.
Oh baby. Oh
Like,
baby.
My God, this guy goes from seeing dead people to seeing God. Holy
That's
smoke.
what I'm saying. That's what's stopping them is themselves. That's it. The only thing that could beat Toronto is themselves. I think Boston is perfect in terms of, like,
they're beatable. They're beatable.
They're very beatable.
Yeah,
Toronto could beat them in a series.
Yep.
All they need is, if they get that confidence from beating Tampa, like, who knows where they can go? Like, they can go to the finals. Nope, they have the team. Why not? You know, like, it just obviously injuries and stuff come into play, and if the right injury comes up, that completely derails the season. But they just need that one thing to finally get over the hump, and I think that confidence will take them far.